as far as the COVID caseload in the country is concerned. According to a recent study, over 900 million people have been affected with the coronavirus as of 11th of January in China. This is 64% of the country's population that is now infected with the virus. It ranks Gansu province, where 91% of the people are reported to be infected at the top, followed by Yunnan, where 84% are now infected, and Qinghai, where 80% people are affected. Meanwhile, a top Chinese epidemiologist predicts that COVID will hit rural areas next and peak ahead of the Lunar New Year. He also warned the peak of China's COVID wave and said that it is expected to last at least 2 to 3 months. Infections are expected to surge in rural areas in China as hundreds of millions travel to their hometowns for the Lunar New Year holidays, which officially start from January 21st, known before the pandemic as the world's largest annual migration of people. Joining us on the broadcast is international affairs expert Sanjeev Srivastav. Mr. Srivastav, now, the Lunar New Year that China conducts, of course, every single year, sees the migration of multiple Chinese people within China but also outside of it. So given that cases are surging, given that cases are peaking in China, how advisable is it that the world opens up its borders to the Chinese people?
Good morning to you. Good morning to all the viewers, those who are watching this show. China has been dealing with this corona pandemic in a very irresponsible manner, in a reckless behavior they have shown from very beginning. And initially they did not share this information in time with the international community, with WHO. And later also we have seen that very zero COVID policy they imposed just to cover up their failures, it appears. And obviously, because of this irresponsible, reckless behavior, people of China have suffered. But not only people of China have suffered because of this Chinese behavior, but the entire humanity has suffered. And previously, because of the Chinese hiding of this information, people kept going from Wuhan to other cities, and they did not stop international flight, but they stopped domestic flights. So all sorts of this kind of behavior has led to the catastrophic situation for the entire humanity. And again, when this new variant is surging, these infections are rising. In some provinces, there are infections above 90%, and some in some provinces 80%. Overall, IGO report suggests that 64% of the people of China are suffering with this infection from new variant. And now, if these people go abroad, if they allowed to travel abroad, obviously it will, reach, a very, very catastrophic situation for other places in the international community. And that is why there are several countries, they have taken precautionary measures. And these precautionary measures are to be taken. International community cannot take this new variant lightly, and there has to be, restrictions. There has to be, mandatory checks, etc., and testing, etc., from travelers from China. But what also we have seen that when the international community is taking precautionary measures, China is taking retaliatory steps. China is taking steps against Japan and South Korea. Several steps have been announced as a retaliation for the precautions which countries are taking. So this is again, a criminal act China is doing. China is not taking this, dealing with this virus seriously. They are still behaving irresponsibly, and obviously, international community has taken lessons from it. No matter what is going on inside China.
You've mentioned the lessons that the international community has taken from China, and it's very interesting, sir, that you mentioned that, because first China says that there are hardly 2 deaths rather, that have been reported in the country. Then they refuse to even publish data with regards to the cases, with regards to the deaths that are taking place. Then China reopens its borders. The cases are currently at 900 million. For the education of our viewers, China is currently reporting 900 million cases. They're about to hit 1 billion, but China continues to be, continues to refuse any sort of confirmation on how many cases are within the country. Mr. Srivastav, given all of this, do you think that, post-pandemic, the world that we're now going to witness is going to want to move away from China?
Well, certainly, if China continues this kind of a behavior, then world will definitely go away from China. China will be totally isolated. And obviously, China's behavior has been exposed during Corona pandemic. First of all, they hide this information, and then after that, when the vulnerable situations prevailed in the international community, they tried to take strategic and economic advantage of that vulnerable situation. This India-China face-off happened. A lot of countries suffered from the Chinese harassment activities in South China Sea, etc. So what we have seen is that China's behavior has been irresponsible, reckless, criminal act China has
Mr.
done.
Srivastava, what does China achieve? Mr. Srivastava, what does China, what does Xi Jinping, what does the Chinese Communist Party achieve by peddling lies on COVID-19, not just once, but time and again?
Well, their intentions are very clear that they want dominance, hegemony. They want their reputation to go high. And for that to happen, they do not want to share any kind of development which is a negative development. And not only that, when such vulnerable situations are created, they try to take strategic and economic advantage of it. So it is a very expansionist, hegemonistic, opportunistic Chinese behavior which we are seeing again while dealing in this corona pandemic by Chinese authorities. So I think China's behavior has been clearly exposed, and international community is alarmed. International community cannot take this new variant lightly. And any travelers who are coming from China must be put under restriction.
Absolutely, and there are multiple countries, Mr. Srivastava, across the world that have now imposed restrictions on Chinese travelers. There's also travel norms that have been put in place that ensure that all Chinese travelers coming into countries are now tested for the coronavirus, given the surge in cases within China.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.